I really like the thing I made on stream yesterday, so much so that I found it stuck in my head as I went to bed last night, and it was stuck in my head all night. Every time I woke up, it was back in my brain, to the point that when I woke up 8 hours later, it was still in my head, and I kind of didn't want to think about it anymore. It was like I had worn it out in my mind. So I'm giving that a few days rest here. Went back to the chiptune piece we've been working on, this kind of boss fight, big epic battle type music. And I think I've gotten this next section to a cooler place, some new ideas. It's gone through kind of 3 iterations now, so I'll play it from the previous section into the new section. You can tell me what you think. I like it a lot, actually. I think the drums here have really kind of hit a sweet spot. I think I really want the drums here to be the central point of the piece, the thing that your ear is grabbing onto in this section, at least just for kind of this 16 bars here. And that is problematic when there is a section that is as dense as the section prior to it. Like when you want just a rhythmic element to kind of take over the whole music, it will inevitably drop the luffs down. It will, the perceived loudness of the piece, the perceived energy of the piece kind of has to take a hit. But I think we've done a decent job here of kind of making up that difference with a few things and making the drums at least interesting enough that they grab your ears for this whole repeat here. Getting the taiko drums there kind of into a spot where they really have enough to carry it. All those rhythmic details, the MIDI here, I think is really what's carrying this idea. You could make this MIDI way more boring. In fact, it was much more boring prior to me making the work I did today of kind of putting in just different rhythmic details here, taking this like a digga-da sort of a pattern and filling it in a few different spots, putting it offbeat a few times, and then in different, like especially like at the end here, I think it's kind of the most clear. You have this this kind of like digga-da, digga-da, da-da, da-da-da, digga-da, da-da-da. This section is just much more on the downbeats, much more kind of like gridded up, you know, if you listen to it again here. That sort of contrast, I think, makes the drums particularly interesting. So when you combine it with the beat, it gets pretty. It's just so many different rhythmic textures for your ear to grab onto. That there's actually a lot of it's pretty fun there. And then you contrast that with super large elements that have kind of rhythm is not part of what makes them interesting at all, like these foghorns down here. And that creates a wonderful texture there. The foghorns we've had previously, I added some extra effects to them with some hard clipping. This bass enhancer continues to be kind of fascinating. I'm pretty sure it's just an EQ boost, but I don't know. It makes things sound nice. Some saturation as well, just to bring those up a little bit. And then brought them further up in the mix, made their tails a little bit longer, that we had this fade more aggressive on previous episodes, but now that the texture is a lot more sparse, I had this choir in here previously. I had a lot of different elements going on. And then the other thing that's going on is these two files, these two audio files. This is the first 5 notes of the Game Boy arpeggio we have going on here at the very, very beginning of the piece. This sound, just those 5 notes, the first arpeggio. We took that, bounced it to audio, pushed it down into took like really like a bright kind of side of it, and then put a really, really big echo on it. I think I've deleted the channel I built this on already, but there was a delay. I think it was set to Fateful. Just took that. And then did the same thing with it. We just took the exact same file, dropped it down, and reversed it to give this really fun tail sort of sound. And when you combine the two, great effect. It's just as far as a background kind of texture goes, really cool idea. A few things we are doing to this. We are really cramming it down into just the kind of the top here, bringing it up the top, cutting off all the lower frequencies. There's an OTT here, just to kind of like half the mix there, 42%, and then some, again, this is like a liquid stepper moving things around, a time shaper that's not really doing all that much. It just it sounded cool by itself, so I was like, well, I'm not gonna. There's no reason to take it out, despite the fact that you really can't hear it. Some drive just to add, again, a little bit of like kind of basically saturation here. And then this cool echo. I mean, if I turn off this, it's there. It's cool. But just I don't know. It adds a lot of color, a lot of texture to it. This slowly incoming tremolo was kind of a much more interesting effect than it just a perpetual tremolo there that really starts to kind of hit your ear over and over again. So building that was cool. And then in the second section, or the second repeat of this, where we have the melody come in. Previously we had the melody coming in immediately, but now I've just kind of moved it over here because I really do want those drums to be the central thing your ear is picking up on here. But again, we can't do that for too long. So when we come over to here, there's a couple new elements. There's this guy. Which this guy is untouched from the last time I showed you this project. But these guys, this is completely new. Gives it a very trancey vibe, and this is just a Serum preset, one of their plucked presets. I think I tightened up the decay a little bit here just to make it a little bit more plucky, but it's just PL crushed pluck with an OTT kind of again halfway on it, and some EQ to kind of clean up the stuff OTT does. So really a pretty in the box sort of sound, but I love the idea of what this could imply, like where it indicates that the sound could be going, and I think actually probably creates a nice transition back to our super full sound here. I think we'll be able to get back into that sound pretty easily from this. Oh, this is lovely. I could listen to that all day. The thing that this is definitely missing right now is more transitional elements to make this work. I feel like some really like 8-bit Game Boy sort of like do sort of like sounds could really help kind of get us from one section to the other. And I think between these two, probably just some sort of sweeps and stuff, or maybe even like some a reduction of information. I don't know, like some tremolo sort of stuff on the effects that are happening here could really help bring this in, or having this just fade in here. These two sections don't need to be. It is a very clear progression from one section to the other, so it doesn't need to be that complicated. But yep, that's all we have time for today. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.